to kindly take up the seats on the platform. The representative of the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals, Dr. Dele Alake, Secretary of the Solid Minerals Development Fund, Hajia Fatima Shinkafi. Hajia Shinkafi. Let me also invite to the platform the Auditor General of the Federation, Shaka Kanyito Chira. Shaka Kanyito Chira, the Auditor General of the Federation. May I respectfully invite you to take up one of the seats on the platform. May I also invite the alternate chair of the Neiti board, which is the National Stakeholders Working Group, Ambassador Matthew Sunday Adole, to please take up a seat on the platform. May I also invite the Executive Secretary of Neiti, Dr. Oji Ogunaya Oji, to please take his place on the platform. The honorable member of the House of Representatives and who is on the Committee on Solid Minerals. He was here earlier. I'm just trying to sort out if he's still here with us. He's the chairman of the House Committee on Solid Minerals, Right Honorable Gaza Jonathan Befiri. Oh, right. Right Honorable, please take your place. Now, there was a distinguished senator who was here earlier. She's a member of the Solid Minerals Committee and the chair of the Committee on Local Contents. But she stepped out to return to the National Assembly because, as we know, today is now the scheduled day for the screening of the new ministers nominated by His Excellency the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic. That screening exercise was to have taken place yesterday, but was postponed to today. And we do hope and pray that she would rejoin us in the course of the proceedings. So do not be concerned, ladies and gentlemen, the 2 seats are unoccupied. We're expecting some other special guests to be with us in the course of the proceedings. Let me also, the President of the Miners Association of Nigeria and a representative of the extractive companies mining on the Neiti board, Mr. Dele Ayonleke. Mr. Dele. All right. Thank you very much, Executive Secretary. Let me also invite a very well-known face in civil society, a former member of the board of Neiti and also a former member of the EITI, that is the international body to which Neiti is affiliated, Ms. Faith Nwadishi. Please step forward and take up the last remaining seat on the platform before we commence formally. Please let's give her a round of applause as she walks up right to the platform. It's only just one gangway right here. Well, for those who are used to events and activities or presented by Neiti, this is a new venue. This is a new venue. Still Fraser suits, but of course, this is a more elaborate sitting arrangement than you normally would have in a ballroom. I just would like to point out that to the left of the podium, there is an exit. That exit would take you straight to the restrooms. It's quite some distance from the point there, so make your calculation if you intend to use the washroom. You take a walk there, and then you walk down, around the recreation center, and then straight on, you see the washroom. Unlike the ballroom, which is adjacent to the platform. Please, let's rise for the national anthem for us to commence formally. Please be seated. the chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Solid Minerals, the representative of the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals, members of the National Assembly here present, Auditor General of the Federation, the chairman and members of the board of Neiti, the executive secretary of Neiti, management staff of Neiti, heads of parastatals, captains of industry, the auditors, Haruna Yahaya and co, members of civil society, the distinguished members of the Fourth Estate, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the twin events of the second edition of the Neiti House Dialogue and a public presentation of the Neiti 2022-2023 Solid Minerals Reports. Just about a month ago, at this same hotel, that's Fraser Suites, then, of course, the ballroom, Neiti made a public presentation of the latest reports on the oil and gas sector. Today, the reports will be on the solid minerals subsector of the extractive industries. As it was about a month ago, today's events are being powered by ROLAC with intervention under the EU program for the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance. As you will hear in the course of today's proceedings, the Neiti House Dialogue had its first edition some months ago, and this was at Utako here in the nation's capital. And the very first guest on that occasion was the chief executive of the commission, that is engineer, sorry, gentlemen, can you sort yourselves out quickly with your microphones? The first edition of the Neiti House Dialogue, I said, had the chief executive of the Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Engineer Komolafe, as guest. Today, the special guests we'll be having will be a face you will see regularly, and it will be the executive secretary. We'll have the opportunity of making a joint representation on the highlights of the solid minerals reports, as well as, of course, having interactions with members of the esteemed audience here present on the status of the EITI implementation in Nigeria. So, one, to recognize the very esteemed guest is being represented by Hajia Fatima Shinkafi, the solid minerals developer. So here, I earlier introduced him. Right Honorable Gaza Jonathan Befiri, Chairman, House Committee on Solid Minerals, is also here in our midst. The alternate chair of the Neiti board, Ambassador Matthew Sunday Adoli, is here, along, of course, with other members of the board, including Mr. Dele Ayonleke, President Miners Association of Nigeria, whom I earlier introduced. Let's welcome who's representing women geoscientists and a former president Association of Professional Women Engineers. And she's an extractive industry. Representing the board is Barrister Musa Abdullahi Lawan. Let's welcome Professor Abubakar. For him, please. Olashukwu Taiwo, Southwest. Please, let's welcome him to today's event. We also have I hope he's still around, the clerk of the Senate Committee on Solid Minerals, Paul Nanyap. Is he around still? Okay, probably stepped out at the same time. We have the Assistant Comptroller of Customs, Zayano Sidi. Assistant Comptroller of Customs, Zayano Sidi. And from the firm of Chartered Accountants, Haruna Yahaya, MNI FCA. Haruna Yahaya, please let's welcome him. We will, of course, have more recognition. Note, let me respectfully invite the Executive Secretary and CEO of Neiti, Dr. Oji Ogbunoya Oji, to give his opening remarks. And just before he comes on, please be advised, the surface of the floor is not even. So just be careful, watch out for slight obstacles so you don't stumble as you walk around. Just a minute, please. Dr. Oji Ogbunoya Oji.
The Chair, House Committee on Solid Minerals, Honorable Minister's Representative, my sister, Fatima, that is seated, the Auditor General of the Federation, our powerful alternate chairman, who stands in for the chair in times of crowded engagements, the President Miners Association of Nigeria, and our sister, Neiti champion, Faith Wadishi, who is standing in for Dr. Erisa Daladi, who is on her way from Gombe to attend this event. I hope she arrives before we finish. Well, we are here again in the last month. On the 26th of last month, we unveiled the oil and gas industry report, which actually brought our reports up to date in the solid mineral, in the oil and gas sector. Today, and at that event, many questions were asked. What about the solid minerals? We are here to present the 2022-2023 solid minerals report. And we are so far encouraged by the level of engagement that the earlier report we released has elicited in the media and public space. Although we still expect more. Because the essence of publishing this report is not for them to lie fallow on the shelf. It's to galvanize public interest, awareness, education, and incentivize informed public debate that can push for reforms. I'm really honored to have distinguished champions of Neiti already seated, and all the members of our board that were already earlier introduced. Many of them were not formally introduced. Our work sometimes we are hardly seen or heard. And I would like to thank the indigenous firm that worked with us to produce this report, Malam Haruna Yaya and Co. I've just been informed that it's a very close step to become the president of Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. I hope when you reach there, you won't forget us. We are very honored that we have worked with reputable firms in Nigeria, and so far, their work has attracted international standard. I would like also to thank the civil society organizations, extractive companies, and all the government agencies that worked with us to produce this report. I have a speech which will provide further details on what we are going to do today. My job now is just to welcome you and to thank you for your faith in Neiti and for your confidence and for continued support that we have received over the years. As you are here, please relax. We are combining the presentation of the report with our normal dialogue that will allow you to ask one or two questions if there are any. On behalf of our board already seated, distinguished ladies and gentlemen seated on the item, and all of us here, I would like to welcome you to this event. Thank you very much for coming, and please exercise some patience with us. I thank you.
Yeah. Please bear with us as we engage in some housekeeping. Neiti isn't quite used to this venue. I don't think this. All right, we're almost done. Neiti isn't quite used to this venue here at Fraser Suits. See, where is the NTA? Your mic is right on the floor. Well, quick. Now you would wait for Huh? Sharp, sharp. Once again, we apologize for the disruption. As I said, we're trying to make this as convenient as possible for all of us. Again, those who have attended Neiti functions and events in the past would know that this is usually a seamless arrangement without a great deal of intrusion. And let's appreciate Dr. Oji Ogbunaya Oji for his opening remarks. As he says, he has a prepared text, and we look forward to hearing him in the course of this program. To formally welcome us, let me invite the alternate chair of the Neiti board, His Excellency Ambassador Matthew Sunday Adole. Please, let's welcome him to the microphone.
Good morning, distinguished guests, partners in transparency, members of the press, and all our valued stakeholders. It is both a privilege and a pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the Neiti National Stakeholders Working Group to today's Neiti House Dialogue and public presentation of the 2022-2023 Solid Mineral Industry Report. This event represents a significant moment in our collective journey to reshape Nigeria's extractive sector for the benefit of all citizens. It is a testament to Neiti's dedication to transparency, accountability, and sustainable development within the solid mineral sector, an area critical for Nigeria's economic diversification. The 2022-2023 Solid Minerals Report we present today sheds new light on the sector's performance, achievements, and of course, challenges. It aims to provide stakeholders across the board with evidence-based insights to drive policy decisions, investments, and operational improvements. In alignment with our mandate, this report also seeks to equip the Nigerian public with information on how our shared natural resources are being managed. As the Neiti board, we are ready and committed to providing robust policy guidelines and oversight to ensure that Neiti's objectives are achieved effectively and consistently. We recognize that the journey towards transparency requires unwavering dedication, responsiveness to evolving industry challenges, and a commitment to the highest standards of governance. Rest assured that Neiti NSWG is fully prepared to support this cause. Building better stakeholder agreement based on regular exchanges of information and data are also a priority for this board. It is through close collaboration with each of you, our government partners, industry players, civil society organizations, and members of the media, that Neiti can successfully fulfill its role. To strengthen these engagements, we are focused on creating more inclusive feedback channels, which we hope will deepen understanding and alignment among all actors, enhance our capacity to tackle sectoral issues, and ultimately drive forward Nigeria's socioeconomic development goals. The Neiti House Dialogue is a new innovation, a veritable platform for vibrant civil engagement to the Neiti board will continue to support for its sustainability. I also take the opportunity to recognize and appreciate the Neiti Secretariat, led by our dedicated and capacity Executive Secretary, for the outstanding work being done. The Secretariat has been exemplary in producing this report and ensuring that Neiti remains a reputable source of reliable data and analysis. Their commitment, diligence, and tireless work in promoting transparency and accountability in Nigeria's extractive industries cannot go unappreciated. Let me express our profound gratitude to all our stakeholders for your continuous support and collaboration in advancing Neiti's mission. With your support, we are confident that Neiti will continue to play a leading voice in transparency, strengthening Nigeria's reputation, the extractive industries transparency initiative. As we proceed with today's presentation and discussions, let us embrace this moment as a collective opportunity to choose and reinforce our shared values for the solid mineral sector and beyond. Thank you all for being here, and once more, welcome. Together, we shall continue to build a more transparent, inclusive, and prosperous Nigeria. Thank you very much for your august presence.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Matthew Adole. He, of course, represented Nigeria as an envoy in a number of capitals before his latest appointment as a member of the Neiti board and alternate chair of the board. Please let's give him a round of applause for the welcome remarks. Permit me also to respectfully recognize in our midst another member of the Neiti board, Chief Israel Igwebu. Chief Israel Igwebu is the Southeast representative on the Neiti board. Please let's give him a round of applause. We will take some goodwill messages now before, of course, we get into the speeches by the special guests of honor. And thereafter, we get on with the House dialogue and public presentation of the highlights of the 2022-2023 Solid Minerals Report. For the first goodwill message, we'll be calling on the civil society. At this time, it will be by the board chair of Publish What You Pay campaign, Dr. Mohammed Mustafa Yahaya. Dr. Mohammed Mustafa Yahaya, please, was here a while ago. I saw him. All right. So please let's give him a round of applause. I'm inviting him on the presumption that he knows the rules of goodwill messages. Not more than 2 minutes, which is 120 seconds. Sorry, he has come with, do you have slides for goodwill message? How many minutes? 2 minutes. Anything longer? Anything longer?
You are covered. Then that means I will shorten the protocols. Mr. Chairman, Neiti Chair, representative of the Solid Mineral Minister, distinguished members here present, all other protocol duly and respectfully observed. I want to align myself with the speech of the Chief OG. On behalf of Public HPA Nigeria and the entire civil society in this process, we want to commend and appreciate Neiti for presenting this report. Everybody knew the kind of hardship Nigeria are, and we're trying to look for alternative source of income for Nigeria. And I believe this report will open doors, many doors for the federal government and other stakeholders and investors to see other areas of income generation to Nigeria. I thank you very much. I thank all those who presented or who participated in today's program, and I wish you a successful deliberation. I believe I've done justice to my, thank you. You can see he's taking 30 seconds to come and collect the mic, so it's him, not me.
Thank you very much. Please, let's give him another round of applause. But the curiosity then would be, to say what he said by way of a goodwill message. Dr. Muhammad Mustafa Yahya, we appreciate your brevity as the board chair of Publish What You Pay campaign. Now, before I invite the next goodwill message, I have two names here. You know, if you mispronounce a person's name, that's some havoc you do to the individual. I've been struggling to get the correct pronunciation. And, you know, our handwritings aren't exactly similar. And that's why you are sometimes advised to write in all caps so you can read it. Not for these individuals I'm about to recognize, but for some others. You can see we'll be going through the sheaf of papers. And Chris, of course, who is very able Neiti staff, has also been running around to get that. There's the EU Mission Director in our midst this morning, the EU Mission Director, Rachid Malej. Rachid Malej. Please let's give him a round of applause. Now, there's an EITI expert also in our midst. Yahayao, I imagine. Well, sorry, this one I have to admit. Is it belief, Bilet? I don't know. Sorry? Bilal. 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 Oh. Please, with your kind permission, let me show it to the audience. It's very difficult to decipher. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, let's give him another round of applause. So it's an EITI expert and then the EU Mission Director, whom I earlier recognized. Let me now invite Mr. Dele Ayonleke, President Miners Association of Nigeria, to deliver a goodwill message on behalf of mining companies.
For want of time, the chairman, National Stakeholders Working Group of Neiti, represented by the alternate chair, the chairman, House Committee on Solid Minerals, Honorable Gbefi, the representative of the Honorable Minister, members of the High Table, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the extractive companies in the solid mineral sector, I sincerely welcome every one of us to this August gathering, where we are considering one of the critical issues that are germane to the economic survival and sustainable development of our nation in our efforts to make our position among the developed nations of the world through economic exploitation and judicious management of the abundant natural resources buried within our landscape. We must, however, recognize and applaud the yeoman's efforts of the management of Neiti under the able leadership of Dr. Bonaya Oji and the auditors for scooping out data that helps our nation to critique and assess the transparency and accountability indices of our extractive industries in the light of the globally accepted Neiti standard. This commendation becomes more important when one considers the hitherto opaque regulatory and optional environments around the Nigerian solid mineral sector. As a player in the Nigerian mineral industry, why not be rating the role of the oil and gas sector of our economy yesterday, today, and tomorrow? I can boldly say that solid mineral sector holds the ace for accelerating the speed of wealth creation through massive job opportunities for teaming youth and development of cottage industries. Nature has been so kind on us for even distribution of these deposits of minerals across the 774 local governments of this nation. Therefore, what remains for us as a nation is the strategic exploitation of these endowments and judicious management of the accruing social and economic benefits. It is imperative to state, however, that the nation has to get more committed to confront the various challenges inhibiting the growth of the sector and preventing it from fulfilling its natural mandate. Among these challenges is the issue of insecurity, which has eaten the mining space to both local and foreign possessors of lethal weapons. So the issue of security has to be treated as a national emergency. Also, the human, logistic, and infrastructure capacities of the regulatory agencies have to be tremendously improved upon if the reigning regime of illegality and opacity in the sector is to be dismantled. The recent commendable initiative of the Honorable Minister for launching the mining marshal is a tip of the iceberg. The focus of capacity improvements has to target the technical departments and agencies of the ministry. Lastly, I want to observe and state that for this re-emerging sector to evolve into a veritable pivot for the diversification and broadening of our national economy, nothing should be spared to ensure that a unified governance structure or the legal and regulatory frameworks that will be acceptable to and complied with by all the national and subnational entities, The current rate of anarchy in the sector is not only throwing spanners, it will continue to dwarf the potentials of the sector and capable of making this nation a potentially mining nation in perpetuity. Once again, I want to appreciate the State Secretary of Neiti and his management team and our auditors and my fellow compatriots in the National Stakeholders Working Group of Neiti under the leadership of the SGF, Senator George Akume, for coming out with this report that will aid our nation to accelerate the process of economic recovery to posterity. On behalf of the chairman of the Executive Committee, that is my brother, Mr. Gweke Ajaifa, I welcome all our guests and members of the public. We appreciate you all for being part of this history. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
You were underground, so that's okay. That's all right. Thank you very much. A round of applause for Dele Ayoleke. He was asking whether he spent more than 2 minutes. I said, no, you know, the mining, you have to go underground, not the one that are pounding for gold on the surface. So he spent 2 minutes inside the shaft. And then when he was emerging, he added a couple of seconds. Let's give him a round of applause. President Miners Association of Nigeria, Mr. Dele Ayoleke, and for the very valuable points that you have also raised in your goodwill message. So the Right Honorable Member of the House of Representatives, the representative of the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we're having a slight alteration to the program. We're getting into speeches now by the special guests of honor. You know, when you organize an event of this nature and you invite very big and powerful people, you have to pray that they will have the time to be with you throughout the duration of the program, because the call on their time is enormous. And so this morning, now this afternoon, the call on the time of the Auditor General of the Federation is right now. But he has said that he will still be with us for some minutes more before he attends to some other very urgent state matters. So we respectfully invite him, the Auditor General of the Federation, to deliver his speech on this occasion. Shaka Kanyeto Chira, FCNA. Please, let's welcome him to the microphone. A round of applause for him, please. There's no time limitation on your speech. How much time you have?
Good afternoon. I want to make a correction. I'm not the Auditor General of the Federation, but Auditor General for the Federation. I'm your Auditor General. You can call me anytime and ask what is Neiti is doing. How far has it done? I should be able to tell you because I have staff that work on that. So I'm not of the federation, but for the federation. Thank you. As existing protocol, I'm deeply honored and pleased to be in your midst as a special guest of honor and to deliver a goodwill message at this all-important event. The public presentation of 2022-2023 Solid Mineral Report and second edition of Neiti Dialogue by Neiti. I have noted with happiness the positive stride made by Neiti since elections. Neiti, under the leadership of the Executive Secretary, Dr. Oji Ogbona Oji, has remained a source of hope for Nigerian transformation by ensuring the effective harnessing of the extractive resources. His doggedness and unparalleled commitment to this idea of transparency and accountability in the extractive sector have shown his desire to bequeath a better Neiti to those coming behind him. The report on the mineral sector will further help the current administration, heavily led by His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCA, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria. Renew Hope agenda, especially its drive to diversify Nigeria mono product to a multi-product economy. I'm not in doubt, though Nigeria will, in the extractive sector alone, if properly harnessed, can be the impetus for launching the country into one of the most developed countries in terms of both the gross domestic product and per capita income. I'm therefore convinced that with the way Neiti is going, given the enabling environment and appropriate support, getting to that point may not take a long time from now. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the data Neiti provides is invaluable as it will support my office in conducting evidence-based audit. Neiti comprehensive data set will support our audit planning process through risk assessments and a proper understanding of the oil and gas and solid mineral sector, which will further enhance the nation's desire for accountability and transparency. The report will aid identification of gaps and the opportunities for policy implementation and regulatory compliance within the sector. As the Auditor General for the Federation, I want to assure Executive Secretary of Neiti that my office is ready to collaborate with Neiti to deepen the audit of extractive sector. One major area of such collaboration through performance audit. I am estimating because the performance audit of the extractive sector will always bring value addition to the table. The outcome of the performance audit, that's extractive industry sector, will further enable the federal government to know specific deliverables attained so far, as well as the challenges preventing the attainment of other desired goals. To this end, I would like to charge the leadership of Neiti not to rest on its own by seeing the current achievement as a peak. It should be seen as just the beginning until Neiti becomes a global reference point of the best practice in the extractive industry. Also, the host dialogue that is expected to be held today may serve as an avenue to reduce agenda setting for Neiti going forward. Finally, I hope to see Neiti exploring options for partnering with relevant stakeholders, both within and outside the country, in order to bring the much needed transformation to the country through extractive industry. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much. That was Shakab Kanyito Chira, Auditor General for, underline for, the Federation, giving us his speech on this occasion. Please, let's give him a very loud round of applause. First for the correction and also for the kind words spoken about Neiti, his executive secretary, board members, and the future of the auditing function that Neiti itself undertakes. We will now invite the development partners on this occasion, being ROLAC, who are powering this joint event, to deliver a message. Dr. Emmanuel Uche. Dr. Uche?
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please permit me to stand on the already established protocols, recognizing all the dignitaries on the high table, and particularly those of us on the floor who actually make today what it is. Thank you very much for finding time to be with us on this particular occasion. And in bringing the goodwill from the European Union, the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, International IDEA, and the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Project, the three caps I wear. Let me start by saying that we are very, very happy, as always, to partner with Neiti, placing as agency that is blazing the trail in what institutional accountability is supposed to be. And I say this with every sense of purpose. Oji is not my friend, so it's not as if I'm here to blow his trumpet, but the truth is that when we come here and we say we were here the other time for the public presentation of the oil. Today, we are here for the public presentation of the solid minerals report for Nigeria. And my question is, when we say we are doing public presentation to who? Public presentation of this report to who? Public presentation for what? And we must understand that in this public presentation, like I said, Neiti is blazing the trail and reminding the rest that as a public institution, you owe critical accountability to the constituencies that you are called to serve. And Neiti is here to serve the government of Nigeria. So, first presentation of that report of the industry to the government of Nigeria. Neiti is here to serve the companies. So it's not as if Neiti is only a watchdog for the companies in the oil and gas sector, but also helps them to see themselves in their report card, how they are doing. And more importantly, Neiti is here to serve the purpose of Nigerians, you and me. And I took time to go look at the participants list again, and I'm so happy to see that there are a total of
23 media organizations. I give kudos to you. I say thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for the media because they understand that this report is for them. I also saw that there are close to 48 civil society persons in this room. Civil society, kudos, thank you for understanding that this report is for you. The oil companies, I could only see them on one page. Thank you for those of you who also managed to make it because the report is for you. And I want to say, on this occasion, I want to challenge every other agency listening to us, whether in the room or on the media. The way Neiti is setting the standard for the work they do, providing their report card of the industry which they oversee. How many other agencies are willing and ready to beat their chest in a round table to present their reports? And this is required of every organization. So that's why the European Union is particularly happy partnering with Neiti on this. If you are a public agency, you were set up to contribute to reducing challenges, social challenges in a particular sector, whether it is the educational sector, whether it's in social development, whether it's in building, whether it's in road development. And you owe us this accountability. And I want to say, Neiti has set the standard. Please, can we encourage other agencies to also invite us? As long as it comes to the issues of accountability and transparency on how public resources are used and deployed, the European Union and international idea is forever ready to partner with you to make the system more transparent so that it can work for the ultimate good of all of us Nigerians. On this occasion, I just want to remind us and Neiti also that our approach, the approach of development partners in supporting local organizations is that of creating models of transformation, is that of removing the stumbling blocks and the bottlenecks that will stop you from delivering effectively on your mandate. And we may not be able to do this forever. And that is why we would also want to call on government as well as Ministry of Finance, the Federal Allocation Committee, to see that an agency that is accountable and transparent needs to be better funded to deliver on it. Because going forward, the envelope and the resource of development partners is only this much and may soon run out. But we need to sustain this momentum. We need to sustain this engagement of accountability up and take on this baton to ensure that this type of accountability continues to be provided. A round of applause. And accountability in public institutions in Nigeria. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Emmanuel Uche, for the also appreciate the presence of a legion of civil society organizations that are at this venue, along, of course, with a platoon of media representatives. Once again, Dr. Emmanuel Uche, thank you, and thank you. Let's give him a round of applause. When Dr. Uche was speaking and he was saying that he wasn't here to blow the trumpet of the executive secretary of Neiti, I was looking at him, I was trying to see some similarity between his appearance and that of Louis Armstrong. Dr. Uche, somebody is distracting you. I'm saying I was trying to see the similarities between your good self and Louis Armstrong. And I said, okay, maybe when we leave this venue, we'll talk some more about trumpets. So let's give him a round of applause again. Permit me now to invite to the microphone to also give his address the chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Solid Minerals, Right Honorable Gaza Jonathan Bifui. Right Honorable Gaza, pleasure to welcome you to the microphone.
Thank you very much, MC. English protocols, but of course, I must call her of the solid mineral space in Nigeria, the ES of SMDF. I don't have a written out speech, but permit me to share a few of my thoughts. I recently attended a course at Oxford, which was managing mining and oil and gas for national development. And one of the most outstanding examples that stood out was the story of Indonesia. Sorry, forgive me. I guess because today is my wedding anniversary, I'm really distracted. The story of Singapore and Lee Kuan Yew. There was a case of one of the persons that sponsored him, and he brought him into office. And in course of discharging his duty, it was discovered that this particular sponsor was fraudulent and corrupt, put his hands into the government purse for private gains. And what did Lee Kuan Yew do? He sent him to prison. And that brought about the revolution that put Singapore on the trajectory that it is today. Neiti, I have gone through your reports year after year, and even reports that had been written before I came to office. And I make bold to say, and I've said it before and I'd always say, Neiti reports have formed my Bible after my original Bible as a Christian. If as a country we will adopt and work with the recommendations that Neiti puts forward and actually take them as action points, as policy items that we must pursue, I can assure you that Nigeria will be better for it, especially the extractive industry. I'm quite impressed with the quality of accountants that are being deployed with regards to working on this particular document. Although there's a lot to be desired, considering the fact that the number of persons or private concerns that are usually, would I say, probed, or whom reports or their outputs are gotten from, really form just a fraction of the total. And of course, you're using the 2080 rule where you're trying to probe those that bring in the most funds. But the truth is that the mining space is much larger and much more dynamic than that. We will agree that the artisanal mining space accounts for majority of incomes that come to this country. So we must be able to put together a framework that will even probe, permit me to say, the illegal miners, even as they exist, to see what is being gotten from that space so that we can actually have an idea of what as a country we're actually getting. But most of all, I'd want to commend you for the work you're doing. It might not be appreciated now, but in years to come, I can assure you, it definitely will be appreciated. And I'm happy that the representative of the minister is here. This calls to action. This is a call to action as far as I'm concerned. when we were reviewing when we were reviewing or in the process of reviewing the 2007 Minerals and Mines Act, one of our greatest partners whom we required input from and will continue to require input from is the Neiti, so that we can make reporting and transparency a integral aspect of the laws of this country. Because if we do that, I can assure you that at the end of the day, we would all be better off for it. On this note, let me thank you very much and crave your indulgence. I would have to take my leave soon, not for my anniversary, but I have a motion on the floor of the House to see how we can urge the federal government to put in much more funding into the solid mineral space. Because just as a previous speaker said, once we can give the solid mineral space the attention it deserves, I can tell you that is the sure form of taking Nigeria out of the doldrums that we are now economically and begin to put us on a positive trajectory. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
That was the chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Solid Minerals, Right Honorable Gaza Jonathan Buefi. Again, another round of applause for him. Another round of applause for the incisive comments he made and the hopes that he has expressed with respect to the future of the solid minerals subsector for our extractive industries. It's now my pleasure and honor to invite the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals, Dr. Dele Alake, to give a speech on this occasion. And as we have indicated, the Honorable Minister is here represented by the Executive Secretary of the Solid Minerals Development Fund, Hajia Fatima Shinkafi. Please let's come her to the microphone.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to use that verbose Nigerian phrase of standing on existing protocol while I recognize the Executive Secretary, our host here. I'm afraid you got the short end of the stick with the platoon of media here. You would have had a wonderful speech from my minister, but I shall try to represent him as best as possible. I have here with me a speech that he prepared, and I'll try and go through it as briefly as possible. I am here representing as a representative for and not of the minister. Distinguished guests, respected colleagues, industry partners, members of the press, and all friends of the sector. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today as we mark the release of the 2023 Solid Minerals Industry Report, a critical document by Neiti that reflects our collective efforts towards transparency, accountability, and sustainable development within the Nigerian solid mineral sector. I would like to begin by extending my gratitude to the Neiti team, led by Executive Secretary, my friend, and an old colleague, Dr. Ogbonnaya Orji, for their outstanding commitment to this report, which continues to serve as an invaluable source for the government, industry, civil society, and the public. Today's report is more than a representation of data. It's more than a presentation of data. It is a powerful statement of our determination to build a future where Nigeria's mineral resources drive economic diversification, generate sustainable revenue, and contribute meaningfully to national development. Nigeria's economy has historically relied on oil and gas. However, global economic shifts and Nigeria's increasing for diverse revenue streams underscore the importance of developing our solid mineral sector. The Ministry of Solid Minerals is at the front, championing these and reforms to ensure that this sector becomes a strong pillar of the Nigerian economy, contributing to job creation and sustainable development and resilience. So through policy initiatives at the ministry, we have introduced targeted policy initiatives that are laying the ground for accelerated growth in the solid mineral sector. These initiatives are designed to attract both domestic foreign investment, streamline the regulatory environment, and create a stable, predictable framework for investors. The National Mineral Resources Development Policy, for example, provides a clear direction for sustainable mining practices, environmental protection, and resource optimization. Furthermore, we have undertaken reforms to improve licensing processes that encourage responsible mining, aiming to create a business-friendly environment that strengthens investor confidence and fuels economic growth. We are committed to developing a value chain within the solid mineral sector, one that leverages both upstream and downstream initiatives to maximize the benefits of our resources. Our goal is to ensure that Nigeria not only exports raw materials, but also builds a robust and manufacturing industry that retains more value within the country. Today, I must emphasize the importance of our partnership with the Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, Neiti. Neiti's work promoting transparency and accountability is essential. Frying pan to fire. Hello? Okay. Neiti's work is essential to every mineral extracted and should be accounted for. The revenues generated contribute directly to national development. The insights provided by the 2022-23 Solid Minerals Industry Report will play an important role in refining our policies and approaches, enabling us to make data-driven decisions that positively impact the economy. We are committed to creating a transparent system where revenues from the solid mineral sector are used for the benefit of all Nigerians. Institutional reforms and good governance. In line with our dedication to good governance, the ministry is implementing institutional and regulatory clarity within the sector. We have strengthened standards, environmental regulations, and best practices. This report launched today is an outcome of that governance commitment. Transparency is not merely a goal, it is a tool that builds trust, attracts investment, and fosters accountability. We also with scale mining contribute effectively to the economy while respecting environmental and social standards. The Ministry of Solid Minerals is focused on reforming the mining finance landscape to increase funding for early stage projects. So this relates to me. I'm going to freelance a little bit while indulging your, craving your indulgence. And I have been given the license by my Oga to do so. So early stage exploration speaks to where we are in the mining value chain of Nigeria. We're in the emergent stages where we're still delineating and estimating reserves. We're not at the same stages where oil and gas is. We are at emergent stages. It's the most difficult stage. It's the stage where you do the heavy lifting for investors and then you give them investment-driven data. And this is the riskiest stage. Exploration is a risk. You can throw a lot of money to it and find nothing. But we have science now to mitigate that. And the ministry has driven a data program as well as the Solid Mineral Development Fund, partnering with development finance institutions like the African Finance Corporation to fund early stage exploration. This is very important because you can't talk about production, you can't talk about value addition unless you know your reserves, unless you've done estimates. We have the Oloibiris in the oil and gas sector. We're aiming to create that for the mining landscape as well. The artisanal miners that represent 90% of mining at the moment are not equipped to do the sort of value addition and production that we want. The largest miners in the country at the moment could be accidental because they're looking for raw materials for cement. I think it's Dangote and Boa. That's accidental. They're not aiming to mine. They're looking for raw materials for their product. But when we do funding for an early stage, $5 to $10 million potential per project, then you are creating value to attract both local and foreign direct investment. This will lead to job creation. I believe that mining is a big regional developer, much more than the oil and gas sector, although our FAC account is quite dependent on that. I think that the oil and gas infrastructure we create is usually monotone. It's for oil and gas. You create infrastructure for mining, it's roads, it's railways, and other people and other industries can benefit from that. So there's a shared prosperity aspect to that. So our approach is to provide flexible financing options, build economic partnerships internationally and locally, deliver extensive contact networks, and to complete in-house technical evaluations and support teams dedicated to advancing projects. The SMDF now invests in 3 main funds: the Growth Fund, the SMDF Opportunities Fund, and the Responsible Mining Fund. So we have to have a response to the energy transition, which is now global. The global supply chain for critical energy minerals, by estimations, we're not even halfway there. And we need to strengthen the capacity for Africa with these reserve estimates and value addition to go beyond being 30% of the world's supply for these critical minerals that the world needs for clean energy transition. We have to increase our capacity to process and add value and try and close the gap with places like China. We have comparative advantages. You have to transport these minerals to China. If we can create capacity here in Africa, we don't have to take raw materials out and we can decommoditize Africa so that we can keep and lock in value here and create jobs from these value additions. 55% of cobalt for the world is in Africa, in the DRC. 47.65% of manganese is in Africa. 21.6% of graphite is in Africa. Copper, lithium, nickel, iron ore. Africa is at the forefront of conversations across the world because of these critical minerals that belong to Africa. It has to work for the communities. Community relations have to be improved. And we have to close the gap with the top processing countries because all the value in those minerals go away when we export them as raw commodities. I'm glad you released my chairman for committee to go and look for more money. That is much needed for these exploration projects. And although he's not here, I would like to thank him for the collaboration and close working relationship he has with the executives. Thank you to the DFIs who are here. Thank you, Executive Secretary. And I look forward to the report.
That was the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals, Dr. Dele Alake, delivering his speech on this occasion as a special guest of honor. The speech was delivered by his representative, Hajia Fatima Shinkafi, Executive Secretary of the Solid Minerals Development Fund. Please, let's give her and the Honorable Minister a twin round of applause. So the Honorable Minister here represents the Board of Neiti, members of the Board of Neiti, very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, of today's event, which is the Neiti House Dialogue on the status of EITI implementation in Nigeria, as well as the public presentation of the highlights of the 2022-2023 Solid Minerals Report. Now, the dialogue, as well as the highlights, will be anchored by the Executive Secretary of Neiti, Dr. Oji Ogbunaya Oji. He will make his presentation and thereafter return to his seat, and we will have an interaction with members of the audience who are here present. May I therefore, before he comes to the microphone, kindly request that we fill up some of the rows of seats that are empty at the moment, so we can more closely hear him, see him while he's making his presentation, and then get the right optics for the dialogue session. So kindly just move up and then fill up the seats. There are some seats here and some seats in front. These ones were previously reserved. Some of those who sat on them are right here on the platform. So let's please kindly move forward. I'm sure we are a bit reluctant when we are established in our sitting positions. We're a bit reluctant. It's good exercise. We've been sitting for about an hour or more. Just walk, take a few step counts, and that will be healthy for you as well. So let's just populate the seats in front. Very well. The solid mineral sector, very important, as highlighted by the Honorable Minister in his address delivered by the Executive Secretary of the Minerals Development Fund. A number of interesting issues, interesting times we are in, and the reports, the highlights of which we're about to get, will also give us some further indication. Lithium, of course, is becoming big business all around the world. And so my pleasure at this time to welcome Dr. Oji Ogbunaya Oji, Executive Secretary of Neiti, to take on the twin functions, after which I'll rejoin him for the dialogue session. Please.
Well, when we were searching for a venue, we consulted our partners, European Union, and said we needed a 5-star hotel. And the 5-star hotel should give us a 5-star service. I hope you are all convinced that it's going very well. We are receiving a 5-star service with a microphone. Now, in my earlier life, I was a broadcaster at a younger age. And I attended an event, and the MMC told us a story of a very prominent country that the president couldn't make it to the UN, so he invited his foreign minister to deliver the country's speech at the UN. And the man went into very elaborate research and the speech was over 200 pages. And in the UN, there are times, but for respect for countries, they can hardly interrupt you. So he began, as the event progressed, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45, 1 hour. People began to leave one by one. 1 hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And he focused on the speech, looking at the audience. So by the time he was done, only one man was seated. And he went to the man to say, please, I'm sorry wasting your time. The man said, no, not at all. I'm the next speaker. So I don't want to be, I prepared a very long speech today, but I can look at the faces that I'm seeing here. I doubt whether I will be able to sustain the audience. So I will talk on the speech, but the speech will be available on our website. Will also be shared. We have all your and your emails. Which alternate chair, my dear sister, and representative of the Honorable Minister, not in any particular order, my sister Faith, my brother Dele, Miners Association of Nigeria, and the chair of the board of Publish What to Pay that came from the audience to deliver speech, and all the distinguished Nigerians that have already left. What I intend to do very briefly is to us where we are coming from when we received an international delegation. Neiti belongs to 57 member countries. And then each country is done that we must all comply with. We went through that assessment in 2023, a very difficult time at the peak of Nigeria's general election, where they were issuing threats of security there. We were undergoing I didn't know my enemies will go this far. Can I have another microphone? So at the end, we struggled, and we were able to make 70 out of 100 for the country. We felt, because the EITI assessment, they never came here out of security. But they came here on the 25th of January, 23rd to 27th of January to assess our country. I went around, met with many of you. Can I have the microphone? Several of them. But the areas of focus are not well. And our stakeholders were very worried that it could deny us what we call validation. And those areas were three. One, they said we had no governing board. And that was quite true. Our board was affected when government dissolved the federal boards. We had none. And they said our civil society were in disarray, they were not united, and they were not participating in the process. That was true. Civil society hardly agreed to agree. They disagreed to agree, but you do your best, the best of honor not to get involved. They know how to resolve their issues. I wish you can hear me. And then the CSOs at that time were supposed to be very close partners, but we had those issues. They were yet to put their house in order, and none of us had the opportunity to interfere. They equally said Nigeria was not engaging enough with the companies, and we needed the companies to be deeper in engagement. These are the only three. They advised us to put our internal processes in order. So we took this as a challenge, and conveyed this to our government through the SGF to the president, and we received enormous support. Our board was constituted on the 22nd of April this year and inaugurated on the 21st of May this year. So that one we have passed. Again, working with the Miners Association and the OPTS, Oil Producing Trade Section of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, we have resolved all issues concerning government participation, Neiti's stronger participation with the companies. And to show enough government commitment, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, one of the highest ranking officers in government, was made the chairman of our board. And through him, we have access to the president, we have access to members of the board, we have access to any stakeholder that we want to reach. So things got better. And we have overcome most of those challenges that would have denied us. We were targeting 95%. And as we speak, we are in very good standing, and we are proud of what we have done. And the development partners, as my brother Emmanuel Uche spoke, have reinvested enormous trust on us. Development partners don't take their support to any agency that is porous and perceived to be corrupt, that cannot render account. We have a lot of development partners that are working with us. In fact, the Embassy of Belgium had requested that we include them as an observer on our board. We have also built a data center because we are the repository of data. But this data are scattered in our laptops. We have done a massive job. Our data center is on the screen. But let me use this opportunity to make a clarification. The scope of the first project that we put on the budget was hardware data center. I'm not an ICT person, but ICT people will tell you that hardware infrastructure is different from the content which is provided by software. Where we are now is to provide the software applications, software that can now enable us to do all we are doing. That wasn't covered in the first scope. So development partners that visited and saw what we have done are now offering to help us with the web software content. We have very resilient staff, young, energetic staff that we have trained. We made sure that none of them is above 25. All those on 40 years, we ask them to take a back seat, because the ICT belongs to the younger generation. So please, let's show some support and patience. Very soon, the software content will be provided, and we will be able to pull through and put the data center into use. The last time we presented oil and gas, a member of the House of Reps, Honorable Gachi Kengaimo, who chairs the downstream sector, petroleum downstream in the House, took us by very big surprise, positive one. He announced that amendment to Neiti Act has already passed first reading. Honestly, we welcome that with a lot of excitement, and our board has directed that we write a letter to that committee to avail us of a copy. I'm also inviting stakeholders that are here to please do the same so that we can make input. We need to review Neiti Act. The act was done in 2007. Now you have, at that time, our focus was on oil and gas. We now have focus on solid mineral, beneficial ownership, and other emerging issues. Equally, there is PIA, Petroleum Industry Act, which if you read it and read our law, Public Procurement Act is no longer adding, including the finance bill. A lot of legislations have come on board that has made our law very archaic, and we'll work with the National Assembly to make that amendment. We have also put together an interministerial tax team that brings all government agencies together to look at the findings and recommendations noticed in the Neiti report. Those are the key issues that our international assessors were concerned about. And I do assure you, and through you as stakeholders, that if they come back in 2026, they will be satisfied that we have addressed all the issues far ahead of the time they gave us to do so. Now, let me go to the report that we are presenting today. On behalf of the NSWG, under whose authority and guidance we have been functioning, we are fortunate to have carefully selected Nigerians from all walks of life and from all parts of the country who are providing policy direction and guidance to our work. And non-publicly, I would like to acknowledge the strong working relationship between the board and the secretariat. If not, we wouldn't have been able to get to where we are. The 2022-2023 report covered financial flows, physical and process issues in the solid minerals industry. I was speaking with the Honorable Minister last night, and he said he had an event already confirmed 3 months ago to speak at the National War College. That's why he wasn't here. But we received a lot of cooperation from there. And the data that we have is not manufactured by Neiti. It's supplied voluntarily by companies and government agencies. Companies declare what they paid to government. The government agencies declare what they receive. And our job is to confirm the data. If companies receive what they should, companies pay what they should pay, and if government receive what it should receive. Our report showed there are variances, and this report will be made public today. But for summary, in 2022, the first year covered by the report, the solid mineral sector generated 341.41 billion, 345.41 billion naira. In the oil and gas, we count in dollars. In the solid minerals, we are still at the level of naira. When you look at this whole, you could see the attitude that people show to solid mineral sector. A vast potential that can provide Nigeria with alternative revenue that is largely not receiving the required attention. So the revenue generated from the sector, 345.41 billion, and this is an increase from what was generated in 2021. Now, Neiti's reconciliation process revealed a substantial reduction in discrepancies between government revenues and company payments. The initial discrepancy was 301.6 billion that couldn't be accounted for. But we went further and narrowed this down because we challenged those who were dealing with it, provide further evidence that narrowed it down to an outstanding 100 million. The impact of the solid mineral sector to our GDP is still very minimal. It contributed only 1.66 trillion to Nigeria's GDP, which is 0.8% of the total GDP of our country of 202.36 trillion in 2022. The highlights of this report is that we have sitting on a gold and we have left it and focused on oil and gas. All speakers, all extractive industry experts have been highlighting this. The day we take time to try to do something different from oil and gas, the economy of this country will change. Now, all the states have solid mineral sector, all. What you can, and we have details of what each state contributed. Ogun State, Kogi and Rivers State led in the minerals production. Ogun topped the list in terms of payment of, in terms of production. For Ogun alone, they produced 15.36 million tons, contributing 966.83 million in royalties. Kogi State came second with 14.07 million tons, and Rivers State contributed 8.16 million tons. The three states other three states, there were also three states that came lowest. In terms of industry performance, that report reveals that Nigerian companies exported a total of 4.31 million metric tons of minerals which valued at 117.29 billion naira. This showcases the growing interest of international marketers in Nigeria's mineral wealth, though there remain a lot of room for improvement. And what we have not been able to establish is, out of these exports, which of them were legal and which of them were illegal. Our next report will be targeting that. The report underscores the need for enhanced oversight and reform, and we made very copious, strong recommendations. In 2023, the total revenue, including both reconciled and unilaterally disclosed, reached 401.8 billion, 401.87 billion, excluding unilaterally disclosed reconciled revenues, which amounts to 382.51 billion. In company payment, the total payment made by companies matched with revenue stood at that amount, 401.87 billion, with reconciled payments, excluding unilateral disclosed, 382.51. But the most important thing is that VAT has remained the only major source of revenue in the mineral sector. And VAT is value-added tax, and that shouldn't be. The day we begin to gain revenue from the solid mineral sector on royalty, that's the day we know we have started. VAT alone emerged as 27.4% of total revenue generated. Now, if you break down the financial flows, FRS alone contributed 370.09 billion, 92% of revenue generated in the oil and gas sector, which means that we're only busy collecting taxes. And how do we collect it? Because these taxes are compulsory. When you pay, it is deducted. We're looking for royalty payments, value-added tax, income tax, all of them together. Together, these taxes highlight the FRS essential role. For now, Federal Revenue Service, is a major dominant revenue driver in the solid mineral sector. It's good for FRS, but it's not too good for the nation, because royalty is only paid by companies that do huge business in the sector. Like my sister said, Boa Group, Dangote, remain the major players in the sector. We are looking for investors that could come to tap the potentials of minerals resources in the country. Environmental impacts, we have the figure. Next fees, we have the figure. Annual surface rents, business premises and infrastructure, you have the figure. And the breakdown of how revenues came into the sector are well explained in our report. Initial discrepancies that amounted for 430.95 billion were later brought down to 329.9, leaving an unreconciled amount that couldn't be accounted for, a total sum of 18 million. Now, production and export overview. In 2023, Nigeria's solid minerals production reached a total of 95.7 tons, with royalty paid at 9.01 billion. The sector contributed significant export quantity of 4.32 million metric tons, valued at 117.29. On economic impact, the solid mineral sector contributed only 0.75% to our GDP, with the Central Bank of Nigeria's official exchange rate standing at 903 naira as of December 2003. Well, we have details of all this, but let me go to liabilities, the money that is available for collection, which can be collected even as we speak. 1,619 companies are owing the government 680.3 million naira. We can pick up that money as small as it is. Neiti Solid Minerals Port marks a very significant milestone as the 16th cycle of the audit report, providing a comprehensive overview of the sector's contribution from 2007 to 2023. We began publishing reports on solid minerals in 2007. Between that time and now, the revenue that government has earned in the solid minerals sector stands at 1.137 trillion, which is approximately $3.86 billion. These are direct payments to various levels of government. It has reflected some level of growth, but Neiti is not impressed because the potential to do more is there. Government receipts from the solid minerals sector also grew from 7.59 billion, which we recorded in 2007, to 341.27 billion in 2022, representing a 44% increase. The issue now is that both legal and illegal miners, they know that Neiti will certainly come to check, and then information must be available. The 2023 report underscores solid minerals evolution in a significant contributor to Nigeria's revenue base. With cumulative contributions now exceeding 1 trillion, the sector has the potential to further expand if adequate regulation is in place, companies participate, and there is openness and transparency in the sector. Nigeria Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative is quite strong, in spite of challenges, committed to push the boundaries of openness in the solid mineral sector, no matter the challenges. I just took the highlights of this report. The details will be on our website, and the highlights will also be largely shared. I thank you for your attention.
So let's give another round of applause to the Executive Secretary of Neiti for the presentation on the status of EITI implementation in Nigeria, as well as the highlights of the 2022-2023 Solid Minerals Report. We are already in the afternoon hours, and we know that after a while, we'll begin to ask ourselves some questions relating to our systems. Just be patient. We will take a couple of items. As you can see, there are 3 tea stands in the hall. There's one to my left, one directly opposite the platform, and then another to the far right. But before we break for tea or coffee and subsequently for lunch for those who have the vouchers. Permit me to especially recognize some of the management staff of Neiti. A lot of deserving praise has been showered on Neiti for the tremendous amount of work they've been doing over the years, and in particular for today's event. Mrs. Obiageli Onwara, who's the head of Department of Communications and Stakeholders Management. I saw her earlier in the hall. She's still around. Mrs. Obiageli Onwara, Dr. Data Basi, Director. Dr. Data Basi, Dr. Data Basi. Nobody saw you, Dr. Data Basi. Please stand fully erect. Let's give him a round of applause. Let's give him a round of applause. He's Director of Policy, Planning, and Strategy. Saad Balarabe, Director of Energy and Mining. Mr. Saad Balarabe. It looks like you are about to go out also. Okay. Dr. Abiodun Afolabi, Director of Finance and Accounts. A louder round of applause. Dr. Abiodun Afolabi, I said they should give you a louder round of applause. So please note it too. I've paid my respects. And the witness to this is the director, coordinating director for the Executive Secretary's Office, Legal and Technical Unit for Governance and Anti-Corruption Reforms, Barrister Jane Omumere. Husseini Ahmed, Director of Procurement. Husseini Ahmed, Director of Procurement. All right. In absentia, we appreciate you. We also would like to appreciate the Human Resource and Admin Director, Abdul Rahim, Usman Abdul Rahim. Let's give him a round of applause. And the head of Department of Internal Audit is Muhammad Buba. Muhammad Buba, HOD Internal Audit. Thank you very much. These are the heads of the various departments of Neiti that have been working tirelessly for the production of the reports and indeed for the other engagements that Neiti undertakes. Now, we're going to unveil the reports, and after the unveiling, the ES, of course, will be willing and available to take your comments and your questions in the course of the interactive session. May I therefore invite the following persons to please come forward for the unveiling. And just before we unveil, a reminder, the restrooms can be accessed through the exit door to my left, where you see the audio engineers seated. There is an exit door there. Just follow the paved path, and then you go to the washroom for gentlemen and also for ladies. But prepare yourself early enough because the space there is fairly limited. At least the gents that I saw, just 2 spaces. So if there is a queue and you are pressed, there is no immediate relief area for you unless you run somewhere else and then get it sorted out. The Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals here represented by the Executive Secretary of the Solid Minerals Development Fund, Hajia Fatima Shinkafi, will lead in the unveiling of the reports. Hajia Shinkafi, please come forward. May I also respectfully invite the alternate chairman of the Neiti Board, Ambassador Matthew Sunday Adole, to join. I also would like to call on Dele Ayonleke, the President Miners Association of Nigeria to join, the Executive Secretary of Neiti, Faith Nwadishi, who is already on the platform, and all the board members of Neiti who are present in the hall. Let them join. The firm of auditors, Haruna, please join. The Director, Energy and Mining, and indeed other directors of Neiti who are in the hall, please step forward for this unveiling. Yes. Where's Dr. Uche? Is he still around? Dr. Emmanuel Uche. Yeah, okay, let him join. Yes. Emmanuel Uche, if it's not available, some other rep from IDEA. Well, it's quite some distance. Can we have another microphone, please? Audio engineer, another microphone, quickly, please. So it's my privilege on this occasion to pass the microphone to the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals, Dr. Dele Alake, here represented by Hajia Shinkafi, the Executive Secretary of the Solid Minerals Development Fund, for the unveiling of the Neiti reports on the solid minerals sector 2022 and 2023. She will proceed with a few remarks and thereafter the unveiling.
Congratulations to the team for this spirited effort. It gives me great honor. It's a privilege on behalf of my minister to unveil this critical resource for decision-making and for the whole country. Congratulations to Nigeria. Exactly. Can I give back?
All right. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen,
fiscal allocations and then fiscal allocations report or audit. When would that one come up? Because this is October, or is it abandoned by Neiti? Thank you very much.
thank you. Lady number 2.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Executive Secretary, sir, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen here. My name is Juliet Kawunsu. I work for a strategy. My question borders on the overview you had earlier given about the sector. I know that the EITI has underlined Neiti's commitment to contract transparency and beneficial ownership, specifically with the oil and gas sector. Do we have any plans to extend that to the solid mineral sector? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, sir. I have a comment and a question. Excited when I heard the Auditor General talk about working with Neiti, meaning that the Auditor General sees itself as part of Neiti. And we're coming from a place where we had an Auditor General one time in this country who didn't understand what Neiti was actually doing. So I must congratulate you. It shows that there's been a lot of integration. And for the Auditor General to make the kind of speech he made here today, I'm really, really very proud and happy of the work that you have done. The question I want to ask, sir, is with these industry reports that we're having, and the review, as was mentioned by the Honorable Member of House, the review of the Solid Minerals Act, and the review of Neiti, is there a plan for Neiti to perhaps have a stakeholder engagement so that we can have our inputs into that? We don't want a situation whereby there's a public hearing and it's just maybe 24 hours notice, so that civil society and other stakeholders would make their input with Neiti going forward. Thank you, sir.
All right, number 4.
Thank you very much. I'm Helen Bodude. Let me join others to thank the Neiti for the work they have done. And going by what we have as the 2023 AT standard, let me commend you for having the multi-stakeholders engagement. But just like my sister Faith just said, we will want the more involvement of other stakeholders. I don't know whether they participated in what we are listening to today. Then secondly, one of the standards is to address the artisanal and small-scale mining comprehensively. I also want to find out how far have we gone in this area, particularly to the local level, and also the effects on the host communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. My name is Francis Okere, representing Zuma 828 Go.
Just a minute, please. That will be number 5, but we have 4 persons who have made comments or asked questions already. Can we pause in the meantime and allow the Executive Secretary to respond to the first set of 4 questions, and thereafter we'll come back to you. So you are number 1, KIV. Yes, please, let's take the first 4 so it's better streamlined. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much from Kayode Oyebisi, FRCM. Thank you very much. Your question was on collaboration with anti-corruption agencies. Yes, we have very strong, very strong collaboration with anti-corruption agencies. We have MOU, a working one with EFCC. We have with ICPC. We have with NFIU. And many of the anti-corruption agencies are also members of the IATT, Interagency Task Team, and many are also members of the IMTT. So we are working together. We are sensitive to bothering so many of our partners. The last time oil and gas, EFCC chairman was here. He launched the report. ICPC chairman called me to explain why he wouldn't make it. We didn't want to bore so many of our stakeholders. We designed this to be mainly media and the civil society, in attention of our board members. But we have, to answer your question, very strong collaboration. On FASD, how far have we gone? Juliet asked, or is it about? Will be ready by the first or second week of December, if our board approves. On BO, we are equally working very hard. This report has BO content and contract transparency, but we needed to do more in expanding the scope of engagement on contract transparency and beneficial ownership. But we keep pushing because awareness is still low and we have a job to do. We also expect the civil society to join us. Thank you very much, Madam Faith. We are working with every agency. We don't have any boundary. Auditor General of the Federation, past and present, since I took over, have been working with us. All you require is to explain the issues, that nobody is after anybody's job. We are collaborating and we're working together. His presence here and the speech he delivered speak for itself. But Madam Helen Bodunde, you need us to engage more with stakeholders. The advice is taken, especially in controlling illegal mining. Well, the responsibility is in twofold. We have provided a report and what needs to be done. The civil society has a job. If this I'm sure you will represent, is to take the report and hold government and companies accountable, including issues of illegal mining. We will support with policy incentives, policy interventions, availability of information and data, but the job lies more on multi-stakeholders. I think these are the only questions that I received.
All right, that's the Executive Secretary responding to the first set of questions we had. Now, if you asked any of the 4 questions, can you activate the mic for her, please?
Thank you. Is Bossede able to report the Nigerian Television Authority? Major is the sector.
Yeah, major challenges are many, but I'll just highlight one of the challenges is implementation of our reports. We make very copious recommendations. We need to work with partners, civil society, government, and companies to ensure that our report actually impact the reforms. Because except the reports are implemented, you are very unlikely to record the kind of impact you are expecting. So implementation of our report is also very, very important. And then the other one is dissemination. We need our reports widely disseminated. And the civil society is always calling on us to release reports. But when we release report, we want similar action in using the reports. So we need more civil society activism on the report. The other one is capacity building for our stakeholders. Our board needs extensive training. Our staff needs extensive training because the industry is very sophisticated. The civil society needs a lot of support, extensive training. And these are the areas, these are very capital intensive. Beyond this, the other ones are challenges we are dealing with. For me, any challenge I can deal with, I don't call it challenge. But there are ones that are very elaborate, that the ones I've just mentioned. There could be more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Executive Secretary. Gentlemen, over there, that will be number 2, and then there's a lady who signified earlier, will be number 3. The microphone is behind you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon. My name is Nankwak Chilfat. I work with Connected Development Code. First off, thank you very much for this report. I believe that it's going to help influence our advocacy, especially in the sector and across board. My question, while listening to you speaking earlier, you kept mentioning illegal mining, and when the representative of the Honorable Minister was speaking, she did mention illegal mining. Is it not an aberration? And what are we doing towards curbing? Since, I mean, it's as if we've identified some of these persons. So what are we doing to curb illegal mining, which I believe will go a long way in sanitizing the system? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm throwing the question back to you. When you go through this report, you will see our recommendation. You will see what the issues are. You will see what have been done in the past that didn't work. You will see a new recommendation and approach. And Neiti is not involved in implementation. Our job is to provide information and data in the public domain. We are not ministry, neither are we miners. So the civil society, the media, legislators are better empowered by law to take this report and ask this kind of question and see what Neiti recommended. Has it been implemented? So that's the area, that's why we're providing this information. It doesn't mean we must fold our hands. If there are any explanation or support, you need to carry out that function. And Neiti is in a position to provide it. We will, because we are working for the same goal. Thank you.
Number 3, lady over there. Sorry. Number 3, the lady.
Thank you.
The lady, just hold on a second, please. There's a lady in front whom we identified as number 3. And she's standing on the front row here. Can we please pass the microphone to her? And after that, we'll return to the gentleman at the rear.
Good afternoon, Tope Olaifa. I stand on all existing
accolades that have been showered on Neiti. I am particularly interested in the energy transition plan and how it has been effective so far in Nigeria. If mining offenders are not duly prosecuted, they are bound to repeat their actions. And we may have that action, the illegal mining activities perpetrated, perpetually in the mining sector. So I just want to know the stance of Neiti concerning this. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for this very, very intelligent question. On energy transition, we have been leading the advocacy, working with the civil society and other development partners. And just recently, the government has indicated interest. The constituted Climate Change, Energy Transition, and Green Economic Solutions Council, chaired by the President. They also appointed focal persons to coordinate that. Following that, we are now interfacing with Dr. Nkiru Kamadu-Ekwe, who is the coordinator, the national coordinator, and we're working closely with her. We have also applied to be appointed into that council, given the strong relationship between extractive sector reforms and energy transition. Our board is on it. We have not received any response. But as I speak, Neiti has commissioned an independent study on what will be the impact of energy transition on Nigeria's economy. No report in that direction exists as we speak. The sector, we don't have any empirical information and data. And we expect that report to be published second month of 2025. The Ford Foundation, an international organization, is providing funding for that report. And we want to support our engagement and advise the government with data so that we can understand. Now, what will that report do? The report will identify the risks, the opportunities, and the challenges, so that with that information, the government can now make a choice of what needs to happen. I mean, last week I was in the US, and everywhere you hardly see Tesla cars are taking over. Filling stations are dry, without charging stations. So you come down to UK, it's the same. It's already in Abuja. Tesla vehicles are already in Abuja. So it's not something that we can deny. So our job is to bring this issue to national and international attention. And we're doing that. On illegal mining, And but we could be arrested. So there are agencies that have that power, the teeth to bite. This is part of the amendment we are proposing in our Neiti Act. The EFCC has the power to arrest and prosecute. And what we have done was to go and sign an MOU with them. The same thing with ICPC. As this report produced now, it will be forwarded to EFCC for investigation. And that is how it works. Where our own work stops, the work of other agencies will continue. So that is where we are. And I believe that those in the sector, they know that most of the investigations going on in security agencies, I'm not here to tell you where the sources are, but Neiti is exchanging a lot of information and data with those who have those kind of powers you expect us to have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now get an intervention from a special category. Please let him have the microphone.
Thank you. Once again, congratulations for the unveiling of the report. My name is Ishiako Ademu. I am the National Secretary of the Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities. My question is that you made mention that your own role is to provide the information. And I'm very much interested to know if Neiti are making efforts to make those information accessible for persons with disabilities. When I say accessible, I mean to both categories, the visually impaired, low vision, those with print disability, sign language interpreting, and other category of persons with disability. Because the information is very important to our community, looking at this is an emerging issue in our country, and we don't want to be left behind right at this level so that we'll be carried along. So the accessibility of this information is very important to us. That is my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I really appreciate this question. It is still, we work with persons with disability. They have a seat in the Civil Society Steering Committee. They have a special provision in the Civil Society Steering Committee. I'm sure you know Johansson. Is it Johansson? Huh? Joint? Okay, yeah.
Jonah Pitt?
Yes, yes. They are working with us, and they are also providing these concerns. The civil society on their own are also attending to it with Neiti support. Our support will be, because it's an area that development partners will be interested to provide institutional support. To answer your question, for now, we don't have those facilities, but we would like to have. And the EITI requirements, standards requires us to work with vulnerable persons. When we were introducing members of the board, introduced Engineer Nkechi Isigwe. She represents women and vulnerable groups on our board, and she has the capacity to table some of these issues. Thank you very much, and we'll take this observation seriously and see how by the next time you come here, we'll have some more definite answers to what we have done. But our reports are accessible. The only one is just not on braille yet, but we can navigate around it because it's our interest, very much in our interest to work with you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Executive Secretary. We will take advantage of two more comments or questions, short and sharp. So that will wrap it up for us today. I see one hand up here, so that's number one. Right here on the front row, number one. And then a gentleman immediately behind him. That will be number 2, and that will be it for today.
Thank you, Prince Azor, civil society from Anambra State. And Anambra has oil producing communities and solid mineral producing communities. Through our interventions in the extractive sector, we discovered that there's been much of conflict between the state in the face that the state governments feel that they have, a stake in the extractive sector. But much of the time, especially the regulatory bodies, do not allow them enough leverage to operate in that sector. So you see much of conflict. And I'm saying this because, my dear ES, you made comment about that Nigeria as a country, we are not getting